Today I'm going to talk about a conflict my wife and I had a few years ago, and then I'm going to talk about 3 lessons that you can apply for better conflict resolution in your journey to save your marriage. So the season was fall, and I was in the middle of raking leaves, and I was working with my daughter in the front yard for several hours raking all the leaves. And I thought I did a good job. I thought I picked up enough leaves, and when I came inside, my wife said, "There's too many leaves on the ground still." And I said, "No, there's not. It's fine." And she said, "No, there's too many leaves on the ground, because if you leave that many leaves on the ground, then it's going to kill the grass. And when it snows, it's going to clump up and it's going to not allow enough sunlight to the grass. It's going to die." And I said, "No, I looked at it really carefully when I was out there, and it's fine. It's fine. The amount of leaves we picked up is fine." And she said, "No, it's not. It's not fine. It's not enough. And you need to pick up more leaves." At this point, I started getting frustrated, and she started getting frustrated. And then I said, "I think it's fine. If you don't, you can go out there and rake the rest of the leaves if you want to, but I think it's fine how it is." And then that made her more frustrated, and I started getting more frustrated. We started getting flooded. We started escalating. So I started feeling frustrated because I thought she wasn't trusting my judgment. I'm the one who's done most of the yard work during our marriage, and I felt like she wasn't trusting or respecting my opinion that enough leaves had been picked up. She was frustrated because she felt like I was dismissing her concerns and not listening to her, and she started feeling like she did not have a voice. She started feeling voiceless. So things kept escalating, and we got more and more tense with each other, and then the language started getting more harsh. And then when we finally sat down to try to listen to each other's experience of the conflict, we started interrupting each other and fact correcting. "That's not what I said. That's not what I did. That's not the order of the conflict." We started correcting each other's experience of the conflict, and that made things escalate again. So we got flooded twice in this conflict. And then it took us a while to finally cool off before we could really hear each other's experience and then find some solutions. So now I'm going to discuss 3 lessons I learned from this conflict that you can apply to your relationship for better conflict resolution. Before I do, be sure to comment "guide" below to get my free guide on how to rebuild your marriage in 90 days. So lesson number 1 is the importance of calling flooded. When you start having an argument with your partner, things get flooded and nothing is going to go well. It brings out the worst in us. We turn into animals. All the blood flow goes into your core. You go into fight, flight, or freeze. It's hard to think. It's hard to process what's going on because there's less oxygen in your brain. So the first lesson for all of us is catch it early. The moment you notice you and your partner are starting to escalate, things are starting to get heated, call flooded, because that's when a lot of damage is done in relationships. And research shows how couples handle conflict often predicts if they're going to stay together or not. Because when we have conflict, that's when we say hurtful things. That's when we do hurtful things. And the more you have those kind of interactions, the harder it is to rebound. So do you have a bad habit of interacting with your partner even when things get flooded? And remember, there's going to be times when you feel calm, but your partner's getting flooded, and you can still say the word flooded. Just don't say "you're getting flooded," because that's not going to go well. But just say flooded, take that break, go your separate ways, get out of each other's hair for 20 minutes up to 24 hours, and relax. Get out of fight, flight, or freeze. Nothing's going to go well when one or both of you are still flooded. Lesson number 2 is the importance of being able to come back once you're both relaxed and fully listen to each other's experience in the conflict. And this is a tricky step, because when you listen to your partner's experience, what are you going to want to do? You're going to want to correct them, because you're going to think, "That's not what I said. That's not the order of events." You're going to want to correct their facts. But when you do that, you're getting lost in the weeds. I wanted to do that with my wife, and she wanted to do it with me when we had this conflict. And guess what happened? It got re-escalated. We re-flooded because we started disagreeing on the facts of what was said, who said what order it was said in. But in hindsight, none of that matters. What matters when you have a conflict is just being able to listen to your partner's experience. And when you're listening, you're trying to zoom out and really understand, how did this conflict impact them? What was their overall experience? What were the main feelings that they had? That's what you're listening for. So you got to get out of the weeds. Get out of the weeds when you're listening to your partner's experience. They're going to say stuff you disagree with. They're going to say the order of events in a way that you don't remember. But guess what? They think their recollection is correct, just like you think your recollection is correct. It doesn't matter. So don't waste your time arguing over whose recollection was correct. So that's the second lesson. When you deflood, you both need to come back once you're relaxed and listen to each other's experience in the conflict without interrupting. And as you're listening, really think about, what was my partner's experience in this conflict? The third lesson is you want to develop solutions moving forward. When you have solutions, it gives you some hope, it gives you focus, and it gives you some homework for you both to do so that you are improving moving forward. And think of solutions in two categories. The one category is content. So on the actual content we are arguing about, what can we do different? And two, how can we handle conflicts better in the future? So for my wife and I, we learned from that conflict that we need to call flooded earlier, before things escalate. Don't wait until the language starts getting harsh. So that was one thing that we both learned, is we've got to do a better job calling flooded early and observing that flooded word so that we don't say things that hurt each other, which makes it hard to rebound. The second solution I learned from the conflict is I should have been viewing the topic as a sharing power topic. I thought the leaves were fine, how they were. My wife had a higher standard. She thought they should have been raked up more thoroughly. So I should have thought, this is a sharing power topic. We need to bounce the ball. We need to strike a compromise. We need to meet in the middle between my standard and her standard so that we're both compromising. It's going to be a little less than what she wants and a little more than what I think is necessary. But that's what I should have done. In hindsight, I should have recognized this was a sharing power topic. And my reaction to her by saying it's fine, it's fine, it's fine, which was me not sharing power, which was making her feel voiceless. So my takeaway was, moving forward, when we have different opinions on standards, I need to shift gears and move into sharing power by bouncing the ball with her, trying to meet in the middle so that we each have a voice. Remember to comment the word guide below, and I'll send you my free guide on how to rebuild your marriage in 90 days. Comment below your questions and your comments. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to watch this one next.